I'm scared. Seriously, from up here, it looks like humongous down there. And I don't know why I'm here. And everybody here has been talking about all these labels. I don't like labels, first of all, because I am confused now. I'm totally confused with all the labels that you two people use. Okay? Professionally, well, I don't have anything professional to contribute here. Just life experiences. Diane earlier mentioned what it was like to come out as being gay in the 70s. I can go over a couple better by going back, this is going to date me back to the 50s. And in the 60s when the Telegram, Toronto Telegram, some of you might remember that newspaper. Oh, I'm going to talk to you then. They would casually mention on a semi-regular basis about the police in such and such a division downtown would take a few gay people down to Cherry Beach and give them a very, very, very stern talking to. When you read that sort of thing in the paper, and that's the general attitude that, yeah, that was a good thing, you know, you're not going to tell them, come out and say, I'm one of those freaks who's totally different and should be in a different body. So I became a bull. I became a total badass. My cousin, since I came out and had surgery, she confided in me, she said she always avoided me because I was such an over-masculine asshole. And I'm still dealing with people at work. It's for the past 4 years, for close to 3 years, I could stop the conversation by being from 15 feet away and just making like I was going to walk in that direction because people really are afraid of what they don't understand. And when I first got out into work, which is interesting, I'm in a very masculine business, by the way. I'm in the armored car industry. I'm what you call bullet bait. I'm the person you got to shoot before you can take down the car. To give you an idea of the attitude of the people at work, there was a rumor going around that I was doing a sex change because I was pregnant. My DNA was going to totally change. Or that I woke up one day and thought, hey, this might be a cool thing to do. And believe me, the price list on doing it is extremely high. The first thing you lose is all your friends. I was lucky I got my mother. Up until that time, she was a person I knew. We never had a relationship. I came out, I wasn't going to go through this little bit here, but what the heck. I got drunk and called my sister, who we never talked in our entire lives. And she was on the West Coast. I drank 26er Jack Daniels straight, figuring I had to be drunk, and drunker the better to talk to her. And asked her how to choose a mediator. If I bounce back and forth, please give me a little leeway here. She was a mediator, so I thought she'd come up with a really good way of telling my mother. And she said, no, straight out. So Mom, who was 89 at the time, about 10 years ago, I finally got it out, and we were sitting there, and she looks at me and says, you've been hanging out with those queer folk. I said, no. She went, thought about it for a couple minutes, came back and says, are they going to cut it off? I said, I hope so. Thought about that for a few more minutes and says, do you wear women's clothes? I said, well, I do have a bit of a wardrobe. She says, oh, okay. A couple minutes later, she says, this is a good thing. You can help me with my damn makeup. Now, I know from my sister, she had a hard time adjusting to it, but she was a lot tougher than I thought. And in February, that was the beginning of November in 04, and in February of 05, I'm up on a step ladder, be hanging some drapes, and mother, being like a mother, is sitting down giving directions, 1 inch there, move a little bit higher. And out of the blue, she says, I just thought of something. I said, well, what's that? She says, you get to lose your virginity twice. At which point I almost fell off the step ladder. Because that's the last thing I expected my mother to say. But it was also revealing that she'd come to terms with it. And since then, she's been sort of like an anchor, a rudder, and my best friend and biggest fan. And it was always funny to listen to her tell her friends that she discovered I made a hell of a lot better daughter than I ever did a damn son. And Chelsea says that's about the biggest compliment you could ever get. Unfortunately, my mother passed away in June, and I'm going through grief counseling, so I'm going to change the topic before I go over the top. Anyway, I went back to work, and as I said, people are still concerned that, I actually had one person thinking it was contagious, so he transferred to another branch. And hopefully, have I talked enough?
We're just take another minute.
Take another minute?
One more minute if you want.
Okay, I am confused about, as I said, about all these things. And I even get more confused when, the new law that got passed, that the person could be whatever gender they want on their identification. And I know they're having the same problem in California right now, where they have a lot of parents up in arms, where they have boys identifying as female showering with their daughters after soccer games. And I think if I was a parent, I think I'd be a little concerned too. This issue is not as easy to accept as, it's not just straight down the middle, because personally I believe, you're either one gender or another, and that's when your terms really confuse me. If you start as one and you believe you're the other, then go big or go home. Is that minute up yet?
Yes, it is.
Okay. Thank you.